Hi, Clint Coons here with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this segment we're going to cover how to buy property on a short-term basis, that is to flip when using a limited liability company. Now, similar to buying property for cash for long-term, it works the same way with short-term deals. If you have an LLC and you're going to buy for cash, all you need to do is create the limited liability company here. Here's the property here. You can either put cash into the LLC, or it can come from you personally to go to the seller to buy this property, and then title would be taken in the name of the limited liability company. Now, if you watch the other segment about buying property long-term and how to set it up, here it's the same principle. When you're closing in a limited liability company, you need to obtain a certificate of good standing from the state where the LLC is created in. Now, the reason I say the state where the LLC is created in, because this could be a Texas LLC buying Texas property to flip. It could equally be a Wyoming limited liability company purchasing Texas property to flip. Now, you heard me right. I mean, this is one of the strategies that we use at Anderson. We often tell you, here's your corporation right here. This is oftentimes, if I was doing Texas, this is a Texas Corp. The reason I'm using a corp, it could be an LLC. I want to make sure that I'm not going to be tagged as a dealer. So this entity either is going to be taxed as a C Corp or an S Corp. Now, I have a lot of clients who will create Wyoming LLCs that are owned 100% by this Texas corporation. And that works fine if you're buying for cash to do it this way. So title then is taken in the Wyoming LLC. You're using cash, and then when the property's sold, the profits flow back into the LLC, and then the profits come down here into the corporation, and they're taxed to the corporation. And of course, after you've done that deal, you want to make sure that you dissolve this limited liability company, because you want any liability exposure that could be floating around out there to go away. All right, so if somebody wanted to sue the seller 2 years from now because they discover something that they thought the seller should have told them about, which is your LLC, they go back looking for that LLC. Lo and behold, that company's out of business. There you go. That's great asset protection. But the thing about this type of strategy, when you're setting up the LLC and it's owned by that corporation, people use Wyoming LLCs for flipping because they don't know where they're going to be buying their property. So I have clients that have a Texas Corp. They'll set up a couple Wyoming LLCs like this, and they'll be making offers in the names of these Wyoming LLCs in potentially different states. So I can make some offers in Texas with this one. Maybe I'm doing Oklahoma here. Maybe in this one here, I'm doing Idaho. Who knows where I'm buying properties and selling them? But because they're in Wyoming, I can set these up and make offers in all different states. I'm just not relegated to setting it up in Texas and just doing Texas deals. I may want to do it everywhere. Now you might be thinking, well, Clint, why not do the same thing with the Texas LLC? Or if you're in Oregon, do an Oregon LLC. Costs. A Wyoming LLC is only $50 to keep in place on an annual basis, and that's pretty attractive to me. And to set it up, it's $125 to get this thing rolling. So from that standpoint, I like Wyoming. It saves a little money on the filing fees. So when you're buying properties, you can buy properties to flip with an out-of-state entity. That's different from buying and holding. Buying and holding, you want the LLC filed in the state where the property is located. Okay, so that's if you're using cash. Now, if we're not using cash and we're using a hard money loan to put our flip deal together, then it's going to be a little different. So when you're using a hard money loan, let's assume that you have a corporation right here, and as I stated, you want your corporation to own that LLC so that you don't get tagged as a dealer because you're flipping property. Well, the problem is the lender is not going to like this. That is, they look at your LLC operating agreement right here, and if it points to this corporation, they're going to ask you, we need to see all the documentation on the corporation. So now you turn over that documentation. And you're down here as the shareholder, you're up here as an officer and director of this company, and they look at your corporate docs, and most corporations, they may be authorized 1,000 shares that they can issue out to their shareholders, but they've only issued out 100 of those 1,000. Well, a hard money lender will see that and they'll say, hey, what about the other 900? Who else is going to be a shareholder in this company? Now you might want to say to them, who cares? I'm giving you the money. You're getting a secured interest in the property. But it's just the way they do things. They want to make sure that it's all buttoned up to fit into their box the way they wrote the rules for their box. So again, this is going to delay closing. So what I like to do for flips where I'm using hard money lending to finance the deal is I do not even disclose the fact I have a corporation. So when you set up your LLC, and again, let's just say it's a Wyoming LLC, it could be any state. You set your LLC up with you as the member, right here, of that limited liability company, and then you as the manager. Now again, the reason I like Wyoming for this strategy is because the first year, Wyoming doesn't list any of this information on the Secretary of State's website. So you can be the manager of your LLC and you won't lose your anonymity. And if you watch some of my other videos on the importance of privacy, you'll know what I'm talking about here. You will not lose your anonymity because at the Secretary of State level, if somebody looked at this LLC, they will not see your information. So the only information your hard money lender has to go off of is what you provide them in your operating agreement. I mean, consider this. You set up an LLC and you list A.T. Mathis as your nominee manager, and then you go to get a loan. Lender's going to say, who the hell is A.T. Mathis? You say, oh, he's my attorney and he hides my information. Oh, what are you hiding from? See where that's going? So rather than create that issue for yourself, if you go with Wyoming, you can get anonymity because your information isn't listed anywhere. And by structuring it this way, where you're the member and manager of your LLC, it makes it really easy to put the financing together. Because the lender looks at the LLC, they see you, they know they're dealing with you, you're providing the down payment, so the deal will go through with that information in the lender's pocket. So you'll buy the property then, you'll close in the name of the LLC, and then after closing, what you're going to do is you're going to quietly assign your interest in the LLC to your corporation. And when I mean quietly assign, all you have to do is prepare one piece of paper. You know, I, Clint Coons, hereby assign 100% of my ownership interest in XYZ Wyoming LLC to Big Star Investing, Inc. Sign it, put it with your LLC paperwork, and away you go. So that's how you put deals together using limited liability companies when you are buying property on a short-term basis. My name is Clint Coons with Anderson Business Advisors.